So we will go ahead and get started. Really appreciate everybody joining us tonight. My name is Tom Kresh. I'm the Associate Director of Communications here in the admissions office. I will be your host and MC tonight. Certainly encourage people to ask questions and to participate in this. We have a good group here of people who you will probably come into contact with between now and starting classes and welcome weekend and everything in the fall semester. But if possible, if you could hold the questions until after our presentation. We're going to have a huge Q&A where, again, we won't leave until the questions are answered. But before we go any further, I just wanted to let everybody know that this is being recorded. And if you need anything, please feel free to use the chat or the Q&A. Sean and myself will be monitoring. And we will go ahead and kick it off with some introductions. And we can start with Sean.
Hi, everybody. I'm Sean Stout. I'm one of the assistant directors of admissions here at Bloomsburg University. I'm also our scholarship coordinator. So many of you have probably already spoken with me, but I'm here to help kind of gauge a little bit with you and kind of go over what else we have out there available to you.
Great. Thanks, Sean. Mark.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Mark Turnbow. I'm the Assistant Director of Residential Education, so work with on-campus housing, and excited to have you here tonight.
Great. Thanks, Mark. And Rebecca.
Hi, everybody. I am Dr. Willoughby. I'm the Executive Director for Student Success and First Year Experience. So I work with a lot of the different areas of the first year that you're going to encounter as you make your journey here to Bloomsburg. That includes orientation, and I'm here today with my cohort, Jen Hunsinger, with the LCs and first year seminar and Jumpstart, which you'll hear a little bit more about later in the presentation.
Dr. Willoughby is a person who wears many, many hats, as does Jen Hunsinger. Jen, would you mind introducing yourself?
Sure. Hi, everybody. I'm Jen Hunsinger, and as Dr. Willoughby said, I'm the Director of First Year Experience in Student Transition. So I help support her and others who are in the programs that Dr. Willoughby already listed. So I'm very excited to talk with all of you.
Great. Thanks, Jen. And Amanda.
Hello, my name is Amanda Kishwell, and I'm the Director of Financial Aid.
Great. Thanks, Amanda. So we have, like I said, we have a quick presentation here that will, again, the goal here is to walk you through the process. And I know most of the people in the group here are probably admitted or have at least applied to Bloomsburg, maybe even have already paid their deposit. So sometimes the question is, all right, so I've done these things. What do I do next? I would love to tell you that this is a simple process. It is not. And frankly, it's like that at every college because this is a big, this is a big step in your life and there are a lot of things that are coming up. So there are all these things that need to happen on the front end to make sure that we can make your college experience as enjoyable as possible. And that's really what we're trying to do tonight is just try to help you kind of map your course to Bloomsburg and set you up for success. So that way, when we get to welcome weekend, when we get to Jumpstart move in, when we get to, move in, everyone here is ready to go. So I appreciate everybody joining us tonight. And I will go ahead and kick us off here with the first step in this process is to pay your deposit. So for anyone who's been admitted, this is the way that you would indicate to Bloomsburg that you are planning on attending and you're going to be starting with us in the fall, in the summer, or the spring, whenever, whatever semester that you were admitted for. And this is what also launches all the next phases in the enrollment process. Right. So you can't, for example, submit your housing application. You can't sign up for orientation or you can't apply for an LC until you first paid your deposit. So this is kind of where the process begins is by making this commitment. You can pay your deposit at bloomu.edu/deposit. It's a pretty simple process, but really this is kind of where it all begins is by paying your deposit. After you pay deposit, and really, frankly, upon application, or if you're just seriously considering Bloomsburg, I think one of the best ways to find out about Bloomsburg is to follow us on, one of our many social media accounts. And I think just about every single department here represented tonight has a social media account. Frankly, this is probably the most enjoyable way to find out information. Probably one of the better follows is our financial aid office. I know they post a lot of not only relevant and important information about financial aid and explained in a way that is understandable, but also they post a lot of fun things too. The financial aid office certainly has a lot of personality that comes across in their accounts. So that's a good way to kind of get bite-sized pieces of information that might be relevant to frankly, a process that can, for some people, be somewhat overwhelming. For students who have been admitted, you'll see down in the bottom right-hand corner, we have all these different groups, whether it's the Instagram Class of 2026 profile. We have Facebook groups for freshmen, for parents and supporters, for transfer students. So the goal here is for you to have an opportunity to meet other incoming students, parents and supporters of incoming students. So you can start to, again, get to meet these people who are going to be your neighbors, who are going to be your classmates, your future friends, and kind of get a jump start on your college experience. We do post a lot of important information too that would be relevant to any of our incoming populations of students and their parents and supporters. So that's a good place to begin. And frankly, if for no other reason, it's a great place for students to find roommates. I'm always surprised each and every year how many people are able to identify roommates through the Facebook group or through the Instagram profile for 2026. This is, frankly, again, it's a nice tool to have out there. Each year we probably have around 1,000 students that end up joining the Facebook group, and everyone joins and they post introductions. If you want to join the 2026 Instagram profile, we just want to follow our primary admissions Instagram account and then send us a post, and we can go ahead and get your information out there so you can start to meet additional students. But that is an important part of the next steps here, as is the Jumpstart program. And so I will turn this over to Dr. Willoughby to discuss basically what is the Jumpstart program and what will students expect to learn in a program like that. Dr. Willoughby.
Thanks, Tom. So Tom mentioned getting a jump start by joining social media accounts and finding community. So another way to do that is to join the Jumpstart program. I'm an English professor by trade, so I struggle to find language to describe Jumpstart without using the words Jumpstart. But so Jumpstart is a program that is designed to give you kind of a sneak peek of university life. Provide an early avenue for you to make connections, start building good academic habits, build some relationships. So if you're a student who encountered challenges in high school, this program will help you get like first day ready for life as a Husky. It's also a great way to start strong with the next phase of your education and your life, like just in general. What the program is designed to do is boost your confidence in your academic work here at BU. It gives you experience in the college classroom. This year, you'll choose from a set of academic workshops and get immersed in a project with dedicated faculty, other students who share your interests. You'll also get help with writing, math, advising, time management, self-care. And I'm listing those things quickly because they're very useful tools, but we also know that incoming students like to have fun. So there's lots of fun social events also built into the program. So in all of this, the idea is the program connecting you with your peers who share interests and faculty who are really like doing exciting things in their field, who are really energized to meet you and to welcome you to campus. You'll also, if you join this program, get to move to campus early, which I feel is a huge advantage. Once you get here, then you start learning where things are, where the resources are, what the spaces you'll be using, where your classes are going to be, because as Jen will tell you in a little bit, you'll know your classes coming in because you'll choose them at orientation. So getting to move in early and start making those connections early, I think, are two huge advantages of this program. And I just think it's also a lot of fun, great way for you to make friends right off the bat.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the fact that, really the exciting part is you get to move in 2 weeks early. And it is very difficult to describe this program again without saying Jumpstart, which I know is like a sinful endeavor for an English professor to do something like that. But I really can't think of another way to describe it, unfortunately. Yeah, this is a great opportunity. And this is something that has been, very popular, and we've had a lot of success with here in the last couple of years since we've instituted this. So now this is a program that you are admitted into. Correct me if I'm wrong, Dr. Willoughby, it's not necessarily something that you opt into. Is that right?
That's correct. So you are admitted, some students are admitted into the Jumpstart program, but there's a possibility of opting in.
Okay.
So that's both things can happen. Yeah, so we get students from both sides of that coin.
Excellent. Great. All right. Thank you, Dr. Willoughby. All right. Financial aid is up next. Amanda.
Thank you. So I wanted to go over a few items. Many of you may have been at our prior presentations, so I won't go into the same type of detail tonight, but just wanted to mention again that if you have not yet done your FAFSA, that is really the first step in applying for financial aid. And that can be done online at studentaid.gov. Now, if you're a PA State resident, you also want to make sure that you complete the PA State grant application. And actually at the very end of your FAFSA, you can select to go to that PA State grant to make it one seamless process. And very important date to remember, May 1st. That is always the deadline for consideration for the Pennsylvania State grant. And every year you're going to want to renew your FAFSA by that May 1st deadline. Now, after you've done the FAFSA, some families are going to get selected for a process called verification. And many people will panic when they get this email thinking, oh, I must have done something wrong. And that's actually not the case at all. There is a percentage of FAFSAs that must be reviewed for basically a double check of the information that you provided. So this is the federal processor of the FAFSAs asking Bloomsburg to double check these FAFSAs. This is not Bloomsburg pulling you out of the mix to review your information. We do have an online process now that makes it so much simpler to do. And if you are selected for verification, we will email you. If you haven't received a BU email address yet, it would go to the personal address indicated that you had used on your application. However, if you do have a BU email address, that is where the notification about verification will go. Now, with verification, it's important to understand that if you choose not to do this process or you're going to wait to finish it, it can hold up disbursement or payment of financial aid once the semester begins. So we really encourage families to take care of this as soon as possible. And that way you have a finalized financial aid award notification and you understand how much you may still owe. And that leads me into my last point, do the math. When you are ready to commit, or if you've already committed, it's important to take out that financial aid notification that you received. And again, that would have been via email. And do the math to see if everything will be covered. In the presentation that we did previously, I had some screenshots of the award notice. So I think, Tom, maybe you can let us know if that's posted out online to refer to. But that's a great way to see how the financial aid is broken down versus the cost. And please keep in mind that the cost is actually just an estimate right now. So it'll get you in the ballpark. You can figure out if you will need to pursue additional loans. Perhaps you need to take out Parent Plus loans or private loans to completely cover the balance. But we want you to do that math ahead of time so that there are no surprises when you get that bill. And typically the billing statements do come in July.
Great. Thanks,
And
Amanda.
that's-
And
yeah, thank you. Mhm.
yeah, that's super helpful. And so Amanda had referenced the financial aid event that we had done. I want to say it was last week. The days are
It
kind of running together here. There's an excellent presentation from Amanda, from Sean, and from Marla Kane, one of our coworkers at Bloomsburg, where we did a deep dive into the financial aid process for students who've applied or have been admitted. That is posted on the university YouTube channel. You can find that there. And if anyone is interested in getting that, we can certainly follow up with that. I can send you the direct link. Basically, like, you want to think of this event tonight as like an Avengers movie. This is like the team up movie, right? Where all of us get together, right? But then there will be these separate subject specific events like the Jumpstart or Jumpstart financial aid, housing, first year experience and orientation. Will have separate Zoom with Bloom events where it's just about that one thing. This is kind of a high level overview that will give you a general idea, again, of like a roadmap of how to get to Bloomsburg. But that was a super helpful event. I know we had a great turnout there. So if anyone is interested in seeing the recording, that is out there on the YouTube account. If you can't find it, just feel free to follow up with me and I can certainly get that to you. Great. Thank you, Amanda. And that leads us to scholarships. Mr. Stout.
Thanks, Tom. So, hi, everybody. Like I said, I'm Sean. I'm our scholarship coordinator in the admissions office. And like Amanda said, we did a deep dive last week on scholarships as well as other types of aid. So I'm just going to hit a few points here of what Bloomsburg has to offer you. So we do offer merit scholarships. Some of you have already probably received some of you haven't. Just to note, we are still reviewing students for merit scholarships, and those come in the way of a letter in the mail. Okay, so you would receive an official letter in the mail from the admissions team if you are awarded a merit scholarship. You also want to look at foundation scholarships. So we have a separate application for students to apply for additional scholarships that they can be reviewed for. And those scholarships can be anything from a donor who's wants someone from the local area to maybe somebody a little bit out of state, what have you. Okay, so there's all different types of scholarships, all different types of criteria. It's a one single time application for you to apply to. And we are down in actually applications this year, Tom. So I'm going to also put the link in the chat here for you folks to go ahead and have students apply for additional awards. Those awards can go anywhere from $25 on up to a few thousand. So definitely get that money in, those scholarships applications in, so we can look for any types of money for you.
Yeah, it is.
Then,
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, John. You finish.
I was going to say also external scholarships through the web, through different websites, through different organizations in your local communities are a great way too. I know last week I talked about fastweb.com on our Zoom, and FastWeb is a great resource because parents and supporters, you can actually create an account as well as the student can, and you both can apply for scholarships for the student. Last year, I found one that was a New Year, New Me scholarship for $1,500 that's renewable over 4 years. So that's a $6,000 scholarship where the student had to write a one-page essay. I don't know about you, but that's a lot more than I make in 1 hour's worth of time. So definitely look at having the opportunity to fill out those different scholarships, talk to your high school guidance counselors, talk to your local organizations like 4-H clubs, because there's all types of award monies out there. You just have to do a little bit of work up front.
Honestly, one of the more surprising things each and every year is like they always send out that statistic of how much scholarship money was left on the table simply because no one applied for it. And it's not only is that a national issue, that's an issue that's specific to Pennsylvania and the schools in PA, and Bloomsburg is not immune to that as well. I think it's one of those situations that comes up where everyone thinks someone else is going to apply, or everyone thinks someone else is going to get it. And then if everyone has that opinion, no one ends up applying, and then those scholarships go unawarded. So please, it is 100% worth your time. You lose nothing by applying, nothing other than the time it takes to fill out that one application. That's basically it. It's a great way to invest your time in your future academic career.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thanks, Sean. All right, let's see. Moving on to checking your email. This is a pretty fundamental, kind of basic thing. This is something that seems simple, but this is something that can sometimes fall by the wayside. It is really important to check your email. And the reason why this has a specific cause is because this is going to be the main way that we communicate with people. Okay, so when we talk about deadlines approaching, when we talk about upcoming events, when we talk about invitations for things like orientation or welcome weekend or move-in, all those things are going to be sent to your BU email address. Okay, so it is really, really important that you have this. This is something that you would get upon admission. So once you're admitted is when you're assigned your BU email address. If you don't know where that is, or you can't find it, and that's completely understandable, just let us know. All of our contact information will be available at the end, and please reach out to us, and we'd be more than happy to walk you through the process. I know we did have a quick question for Dr. Willoughby from Ethan. Would the acceptance letter indicate if you are admitted into the Jumpstart program?
If you are admitted into Jumpstart, yes, the Jumpstart program will be indicated on your acceptance letter. There will be a boldface, probably sentence near the beginning of that acceptance letter that indicates that you have been invited to join the Jumpstart program. So yeah, that'll be in your letter.
Excellent, thank you. And then we had a question about financial aid for Amanda here. When doing the math for financial aid, what estimate should we use since the bills come in July?
That's a great question. Actually, our student billing office has a calculator that you can use, and I will go ahead and put a link to that in the chat. It currently has spring information listed, but that's still a good starting point to use for your estimates. estimates.
Great question, and thank you, Amanda. All right, and that brings us to housing, and this is generally among the subjects that we get the most amount of questions about. And so I'm more than happy to turn it over to Mr. Mark Turnbow. Go ahead, Mark.
All right. Yeah, so we are your on-campus home away from home, and excited. We guarantee housing for all of you, whether you're a first-year student, transfer student coming to campus. And for some of you, we look forward to seeing you on campus for at least 2 years. But you know, we really work hard to try to build a robust campus life experience. You know, you come here for the classes and the major and all the learning, and hopefully for the fun. And you get to sleep with in our areas and hang out and meet friends and you know, all of that good stuff. So, but kind of how you get signed up for that is you need to go. We use this term called My Housing. It's a software application that we use. All of this information that I'm about to go into, I should have said this first, will get sent to you once you put your deposit in. It'll get filtered to our office and we will send you all this information. So, you know, be on the lookout for that if you haven't already gotten that. But you need to complete My Housing. It's your application for housing. On that, you sign off and agree to our housing agreement. It's basically our lease for living on campus. You get to select your meal plan, request a roommate, or if you don't have a roommate, we have personal preference questions that have questions about like how late you typically stay up, how neat you are, you know, what time you might go to bed, those types of things that are going to be important as we match you with your new roommate to make sure that we, you know, match people that kind of live in similar lives. So that we don't, you know, put someone that goes to bed at 9 p.m. and someone that goes to bed at 2 a.m. in the same room, because that's just not going to work out. So when you do that, as Tom had mentioned, making sure that you use your BU email, that's your email that you need to start checking and checking all the time. And we're going to use that as well, because that's your official email, you know, for the university. If you have a roommate request, you can go ahead and sign up the application, but by May 1st is when we need you to make sure that your roommate request is in My Housing. So you can still go ahead and sign up for housing, fill out those questions and say, I don't know if I have a roommate yet. Then maybe through one of our social media platforms, through meeting some other folks, you might find that person that now you know who you want your roommate to be. And so by May 1st is when we need that information put back into that My Housing portal. So you can always kind of go back into it up till that point. We will send out room assignments and roommate information through that, again, that My Housing portal on June 1st. And our office email there, buhouse@bloomU.edu. Email us anytime and we'll be happy to answer whatever questions you might have.
Yeah, and housing is definitely the part about going to college that frankly people are most apprehensive about. Everyone has sat in classrooms before, even though honestly the courses, the academic expectations will be significantly different. I think because people have been students before, I think they're more confident in their ability to do well academically. The part of going to college that's most foreign for students oftentimes is living in the residence halls, living on your own, adjusting to life as a young adult. I'm honestly here to tell you, though, that this is for most people, by the time they've graduated from Bloomsburg, they look back on it. A lot of their memories, their most fond memories, are going to be of their times living on campus, living in the residence halls. It's where you're going to meet your friends. That's how you're going to interact with a lot of people. There's a lot of life to live in the residence halls and in the apartment complexes on campus. So it really is a great opportunity. We do have a lot of videos. In fact, Sean, if you wouldn't mind sharing, we have a housing playlist on YouTube of videos that our students have put together that we have not touched in admissions or marketing. These are pretty, authentic and honest representations of what it's like to live on campus. Sean, if you wouldn't mind sharing that in the chat, I think that might be helpful for people if they're looking to do some investigating. But thank you, Mark. Really, really appreciate it. And I see the questions are piling up in the Q&A, so let me just get through a couple. Question for Sean here. When will students be notified about the foundation scholarships?
Great question. So we are reviewing on a daily basis here, and we should have most of our award notices out by the middle of March. So if you're looking for a scholarship award, it will come in the mail. Like I said, they are all to hopefully be out by the middle of March. If you do not receive a letter from our admissions office letting you know you've received a scholarship, it's likely you're not receiving one as an incoming student. However, you can still apply for scholarships every single year that you're here at Bloomsburg University. So even if you don't receive one as an incoming student, you definitely need to look at applying come January of your freshman year here, and then same with sophomore and junior year, because we do review for scholarships for our upperclassmen students as well. So make sure you're looking at that too as you're going forward.
Yeah, great. Thanks, Sean. Question for Dr. Willoughby here. Is the Jumpstart program by invite only, or would I be able to join by signing up? I'm quite interested. Thank you, Amber.
If you are interested, I am going to put my email in the chat and you should email me. And because I love recruiting students into this program also. So yeah, please email me if you're interested. And what happens is we'll review your application and your academic record and see if Jumpstart is going to be a good fit for you. But I'm happy to talk with you about details and stuff like that too. So I put my email in the chat. Please send me a message.
The interest is mutual. Sounds like great. Thank you. Let's see, is it best to complete the housing agreement as soon as possible? That sounds like a question from Mr. Turnbow.
I would say yes, so that you don't forget. But it actually, as of that May 1st is when we'll actually process through and assign you to where your housing space is going to be. There's not actually a benefit within our system to apply earlier. It's not, we assign you based on multiple factors, but one of those isn't that you pick as in your first year. Your second year, third year, fourth year, you get to pick exactly where you live. But your first year, it's based on that roommate preference, but also athletes, that might need break housing to participate in those events or those activities. Our LCs, typically are housed. You don't have to be housed in certain areas, but they're typically housed in certain areas on campus, which we'll talk about in a minute, or the LC program. So there are some factors that we put into place, but I would say complete it right away so that you don't forget. But there's also no penalty as long as you have it in, by our deadline there.
Great, thanks, Mark. And follow-up question for housing: where can I find the My Housing app at? Mark, would you mind dropping that into the chat, the URL for that?
Sure, and it's just off our website. There's a drop down for new student information, and it'll walk you through every kind of bit of it. But yeah, I'll put that in the chat here.
Okay, and Mark, 2 more questions for you real quick, and then we'll get moving on with the presentation. I promise you we'll get to everyone's questions. Sorry about that. Good question from Ashley. When do we notify that we will be a commuter?
I guess I should a little bit, put this back to you, Tom, a little bit about how you notify, anyone is eligible to live on campus, and we would house it. But if you're within that commuting distance, is within 50 miles of campus, you have to live within that area. If you're gonna commute, you don't sign up for housing because then you're gonna have a lease with us. But we'll verify that you're, within that 50-mile radius.
Yeah, and I believe that's a question on the application for admission, whether or not you're planning to live on campus. Now, let's say you said yes, and now you're thinking that, what, I might actually want to commute. All you have to do is email the admissions office, and that's something that we can update for you. It's not a legally binding thing by indicating that you would like to live on campus on your application for admission. So just shoot us an email, and then we can get that status updated for you. Great. And is there a deposit for housing, Mark?
Yeah, we don't have a deposit specifically for housing. The deposit to the institution, to Bloomsburg itself is, that's when we know that you're serious and committed to coming here.
Excellent. Okay. And like I said, we will periodically be getting through the questions here, but we will move on to learning communities. I know this is a really interesting topic that a lot of incoming students and parents and supporters have questions about. So Jen, go ahead.
Okay. I'm going to try to keep this brief because, as most people on the panel know, I could talk about this for about 5 days straight without breathing. So I'm going to try to keep it simple. So the learning communities are an opportunity for first-year students to get acclimated to college life and Bloomsburg University, both socially and academically. Okay, so we are here to help students make friends and make connections to both their peers, upperclassmen, and faculty members. And we're also here to make sure that you have a support system in terms of your academic and professional development. So whatever you need, we're here for you. That's pretty much how it works. So the learning communities, you can apply for them on our website. And if somebody can drop the LC application into the chat, I'd be grateful. I'm not good at
Yep.
multitasking on Zoom. We have 12 learning communities for fall of 2022. They are listed here on the screen for you. So many of them are based on your major. So on the application, it's very clear. It says, you know, it's for specific majors, but some of them are for any major. So if you are interested in a certain topic, or you're an exploratory student, which, hey, I totally identify you, that was me. So if you're exploratory, you're just not sure, the ones that are open to all majors, totally applicable to you. So the students that tend to join the learning communities, they get grounded very quickly. So it is learning community students also come in earlier. They come in pretty much a week before classes begin. And after the students have moved in that evening, we sweep you up and you meet your LC families. And then we have you in different kinds of workshops, nothing overwhelming, most really, really fun. Their activities are designed to help you to get to know your peers, as well as some of the resources that we have here on campus. So you'll be acclimated as quickly as possible. The students end up doing much better than their peers that don't do a learning community academically. So we tend to, our students in the learning communities, their average GPA is about a 3.0, whereas the students that don't choose the learning community, their average GPA is 2.5. We often hear, I don't have time. The truth is the students that join the learning community, they pick and choose what they're able to participate in. They take some classes together that are needed for their major, and they do better because they have each other as a support system. So, and the students in the learning communities tend to get the internships faster. They tend to graduate faster. So we have all the statistics on that too. So those are the benefits of joining. The options, as I said, are here on the screen. So American ASL means American Sign Language. Sorry, everybody. I forgot to write that out for you all.
No,
So
that was
American
my
Sign
mistake.
Language. So that one is for students who are majoring in American Sign Language or Deaf Ed education. And it is also for any student who identifies in that population. So it's a major specific, but if you identify in that population, this is a learning community for you as well. The College of Education is for anybody else that's an education major. It doesn't matter what education major you fall under, what track you're on, that's the learning community for you. And again, you have to be in that major to be in it. Creative Arts is open to any student, any major. If you're interested in the arts, whatever medium is your desire, this is a good learning community for you. Digital Sciences is for our computer sciences and digital forensics majors only. Environmental is open to all students. This is really fun. Like, I don't like science, but environmental is really fun. They go to butterfly farms and they plant things, and they do social justice, like, you know, being environmentally friendly and sustainability, all of those things. They talk about that kind of stuff. Frederick Douglass Social Justice, also really great program for any major. If you are really passionate about social justice and equality, this is a great learning community for you. They do some really amazing things, and they bring in some fantastic speakers. It's a great professional development program, and they do a lot of speaking they do conferences, they present at conferences, which if you get connected to alumni professional engagement, which you should, because they're the ones that help you find the jobs when you graduate, they will tell you conferences, that's a huge professional development, looks fantastic on your resume. So health sciences is for any majors, any of the student, not any majors, sorry, any student majoring in a health science related area, which I'm not going to list. It's on our website, check it out. Honors is for the honors college. That is an invite only community. So you are invited to be a part of honors, and that's based on GPA and other factors. The military and veterans learning community is another one that's near and dear to my heart. That one is for any student who is active in the military, that includes National Guard, the reserves, and then it also includes any of our ROTC students. So anybody who is actively in the military and any of our veterans, and thank you for your service. So that's who that is for. Nursing is for any nursing majors only. You must be in the major. And Ziegler College of Business is for our business majors. Anybody in the learning community receives an upperclassman peer mentor, and that's the key to the whole success. you have an upperclassman who is either in your major or has been in your shoes and is interested in what you're interested in, who is there to guide you all along the way. So I know sometimes it can be a little scary to talk to us, although I know you can tell we're so fun, but students are there to help you. So that's the gist of the Learning Community Program in 5 minutes.
I feel like if we were to give you 3 hours of time to talk about this subject, we would still
I
have
could
to
totally do
cut
it.
you off. We'd be like, okay,
Yes.
Jen, we're good.
Yes.
No, and honestly, at its most basic form, like I guess the way I always think about the LCs is it's not unlike playing sport. So like when you sign up or when you're a student athlete at Bloomsburg, you basically start your college career off with a community of people, right? Which is really unique. And for a while, it used to be just for student athletes. You would start off with, like, let's say you're on the field hockey team. You'd start off with 20 friends, just like that, just by being on the team. Being in an LC is the same thing. You already have this identified commonality, might be your major, might be an area of personal interest to you. But you already have this identifiable part of your life that is helps you kind of find your fit, find your place at Bloomsburg. So really strongly recommend living in the LCs, just because I think it is to your own personal benefit. It's not to Bloomsburg's benefit, although it would help you do better in classes and socially, but it's for your benefit. And I think there's a lot you can do with living and participating in an LC. I know we did get a couple of LC questions, Jen. I think you piqued some interest here. Can you
Hang
join?
on one second, Tom.
Oh, sure.
Before you give me the question, I need to do a quick clarification that because it's a common mistake. So the learning communities do have a living component if students choose it. And what that means is, as Mark alluded to earlier, we will try to house students in the vicinity of one another. So that means that you are not going to live on a hall that has only students in your learning community in it. That's not how it works. We will try to put you in the same building as some of your peers, but we can't always do that because of the needs of you or your roommate or whatever. You can come with a roommate. That's fine. That roommate does not have to be in your learning community. Your roommate could be in a different learning community. If we have two people who are best friends in two different learning communities, we say, where do you want to live? Which building do you want to be in? And we try to accommodate. But as you saw, the housing assignments go out June 1st. We are taking applications for the learning communities until July 1st. So if you apply after June 1st, we probably won't be able to house you. Again, not a big deal because none of the programming takes place in the residence hall. So that means if you are a commuter, we're here for you. Like, join us. This is a really great way to get acclimated to the university if you're not living on campus or you can't live on campus. So I just want to make that very clear that yes, we have a living component, but it is slightly loose and is not set in stone. And we are open to anyone regardless of where you live. Okay, I'm ready for the questions.
Love the PSA. Love the PSA. Good question from Tristan here. Are the learning communities only for first year students, or can a transfer student join as well?
I take, okay, I'm going to put my contact information in here as well. Email me. So, or apply and we'll review your application. So the learning communities, for the most part, are for first year students. We do have a learning community for education students that are second years. For transfer students, we look at you on a case by case. I don't want to encourage a transfer student to join a learning community when they have 60 credits under their belt and they've got this, because a lot of the workshops are really geared towards students who are pretty new to the college experience. But if you're transferring to the university with, say, under 24 credits or even 30 credits, this may be it. And most likely we'll reach out to say, this is what you can anticipate from this learning community. Is this the right fit for you? And if it is, as long as the faculty director agrees, which they always do, then we will try to get you into that learning community to help you get acclimated. But if it's not the right fit, then what I'll do is try to give you some better information on different clubs and organizations and other avenues to get you still connected to the university if the learning community isn't the right fit for you.
Okay, a couple rapid fire LC questions here, Jen. Can you join an LC after your freshman year?
No, sorry. Unless you're in an education major right now, that's a second year learning community. Like I said, we're really geared towards the first years.
Let's see. If I have already turned in my housing agreement, how do I then apply for the nursing learning community? Great question, Skylar.
You just, Skylar, you just go to the link that Sean put in here, the LC link. Housing and the LCs are not connected, and we work behind the scenes with one another. So if you done your housing, good for you. Way to be ahead of the game. That's awesome. So now you can go to the LC link that Sean put in the chat for you, and you can apply for the nursing learning community. And then once we have you officially on our roster, you'll receive a letter. Guess what? To your BloomU email, you receive your acceptance letter to that email account. And then we will work with Residence Life in terms of housing. We talk back and forth quite often.
Question from Aiden here. Will the upper class mentors be for each learning community be randomly assigned, or is it picked by the student?
That's an excellent question. Do you want to know what? Honestly, I allow the directors and the mentors to figure out what's best for them and their group. So some of them will assign ahead of time so that you have somebody to talk to. And some of them will assign after they've gotten to know you. It really depends on what they think is best at that time. But I will tell you, if you are assigned a mentor and you don't jive with that mentor, that's okay. You just contact me, or you tell your director that, hey, this isn't quite working, and they'll just make a quick shift. If there's somebody you've identified that you connect with better, we can make that shift to that mentor for you. It's not a problem. It's also common for us to see students switching majors. So if you switch a major, excuse me, if you switch your major, we'll try to get you into the appropriate learning community if you want to.
Jen, you okay?
Yes, I'm talking too much.
We have some great LC questions in the Q&A. Would you mind hopping in and typing the answers for some of those? Okay, great, thank you.
After I do the next slide.
Oh, right, yeah, next slide, right, yes. Student orientation. Are you okay? Do you need a quick break here?
You know when you're talking and it gets really tickly in your throat? That's what I've got right now, so I'm totally fine. Okay, hey everybody, still got me, woohoo! Here we go. So I also work with orientation because, again, Director of First Year Experience, which encompasses pretty much everything in your first year at Bloomsburg. So here's what you can expect from us in terms of orientation. At Bloomsburg, orientation is not a one-day thing. Orientation is a broad series of events that takes place over mostly the summertime to help you get ready to put on those Husky shoes and start walking up this path, walking up that hill, because boy, do we got the hill for you. And it's awesome. You're gonna feel good. Okay, so in mid-April, you'll receive notification to your BloomU email and probably other forms of communication that Tom's gonna send out for us because he's a very kind guy and helps us out in that. So it may look like it's coming from admissions, but it's really about orientation, and you can register for orientation. The orientation days, I think, are on our website at this point, and they are for first year students. The dates will be June 21st, 22nd, and 23rd. And then again, for first year students, June 27th and 28th. For transfer students, you get your own day, all just for you. So for transfer students, your date is June 24th, or you can choose June 29th. And those are a little bit shorter days because we know you kind of got this, but you got to know about Bloomsburg. So we've kind of tailored it to what we know you need to know, and then your day will be a little more optional later on. So register for orientation. Come to orientation, especially if you're a first year student. Hello, that's where you're going to get your schedule. So, and you get to choose some of the classes that go on that schedule, but you have to come to orientation so we can show you how to do that. So come to orientation, and supporters, if you're on this call, you come to orientation too. We got stuff for you too. So everybody come to orientation. It's going to be a blast. It's going to be fun. And we're going to do our best not to totally overwhelm you. Before you come to orientation, we highly, 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 highly recommend you go onto our website and complete our Bloom Bound. It says course, but it's this really fun, interactive online orientation. You'll probably be able to complete it in about an hour. And you don't have to complete it all at once. You start it, come back to it, do whatever you want. But it's a really, really great way to get an understanding of what Bloomsburg offers and what to expect when you get here. And it's a great way to understand some of the questions you have. So when you see us in person, when you come to orientation, because y'all are coming to orientation, when you come to orientation, you'll have some questions ready and we'll be able to answer them. In addition, we'll have a couple of these Zoom with Blooms to give you some more information related to when you arrive. And then finally, we have a lot of fun in August. It's not on this slide, but August is our welcome week and it is thebomb.com. And I know I'm old, it's probably a really way.
Yeah, I don't know that people still say that anymore.
I know,
don't
right?
know.
But I still do because I think it's cool and I don't care. It's
And they're
thebomb.com.
resurrected. Nice.
Yes, I'm
respect it.
resurrecting it. We've got pep rallies. We've got awesome speakers coming. We've got community things happening, like so much fun stuff. So that's what you can expect from Welcome Week. And the glue to everything we do for orientation are our HALs. So our Husky Orientation Welcome Leaders, we call them HALs. Hello, we're Huskies. They are our upperclassmen students, and they have been in your shoes. Some of them were just there last year. Some of them did it in the middle of COVID pandemic. Like, they've got you. They are going to be your heart and soul all through the summer, getting you through. So that's what you can expect from orientation.
So Jen, still a little unclear. Did you have an official stance on whether or not people should go to orientation? I just want to make sure.
I would say that would be a yes.
Okay. All right. So you're pro orientation is what I'm hearing. Okay.
Pro
Good.
orientation.
Just wanted to make
Come
sure.
to orientation, come to Welcome Week. And hey, Welcome Week in August it's going to end up being, I can tell you, can somebody help me out? It's the Thursday through Sunday before your classes start.
Right.
And commuters, please mark your calendars now. Everybody mark your calendars. You're not going on vacation that week. No vacations, please. No vacations. There's extenuating circumstances and we understand that, but no vacations during Welcome Week. You
Correct.
need to get there so we can make sure you've got every tool to make you successful.
Bingo. Agreed. 100%. And we had some great questions there. If a student comes in with 30 or more credits as a freshman, do they still qualify for a learning community?
If they come in with 30 or more, if they were a dual enrolled student where they were taking classes in high school, yes, absolutely.
Okay, great. Do parents attend orientation?
Yes, if you want to. We highly encourage it. We actually have workshops designed specifically for supporters, which are also parents usually.
When does the fall semester begin?
August 22nd.
August. When is Welcome Week?
I can't do math right now because I'm a little tired, but it's that Thursday. It starts that Thursday before classes start. So if somebody can count backwards for me, whatever that Thursday is, 15, 16, I think it's 18th, August
That
18th.
sounds right.
So, because the 15th is a Monday, that's when, hey, if you join a learning community, that's the 15th for you. And if you're Jumpstart, you come in on probably the 14th. And then the rest of the first year students, you'll move in on either the 17th, no, the 16th or the 17th, I think. Mark, it's okay for you to kick my butt if I'm wrong. So
You nailed it. Exactly right.
excellent.
Hey,
Okay.
Jen, once you say it like that becomes got right. Like you're speaking it into existence. So I
I
mean,
know,
it's
right? I know. That's why I'm always like nervous.
Let's see. If you've already been admitted into the honors college, congratulations, Colby. Do you still have to complete an LC application?
No. Nope,
Okay, awesome.
you do not.
Question that I see Dr. Willoughby wants to answer live is from Luke. Is the Jumpstart program open to transfer students or is it only open for first year students?
I kind of hit the wrong button on that. I was going to try
Okay.
to type but it's fine. The answer is similar to Jen's answer about the LCs. So student is coming in, as a transfer with a lot of credits.
Mhm.
The intent of the Jumpstart program is really to get students started, to help with that transition from high school work and life to college work and life. So if you've never been on a campus before, so a dual enrolled student who, is bringing credits in, that's totally fine. We will
Okay.
be happy to, accommodate you in Jumpstart, but a transfer student who has kind of had some college experience under their belt, it may not be the best fit for you, but there are lots of other things like Jen mentioned that we can hook you up with to help you get acclimated to the community.
Great. Do you stay overnight at orientation?
No. It's
Okay.
a one day, it's a drive-in. We call them a drive-in. So you come in the morning and We do a lot of fun stuff with you, and then you head out that afternoon.
Is orientation only that one day? Like, can I come either the 21st, 22nd, or 23rd?
Yes, when registration opens, you'll be prompted to choose one. For first years, there are 5 days to choose from because there's more of you. So there's 5 days to choose from for a first year student. And that includes anybody that's coming in with credits when they were in high school. So dual enrolled students, you're considered a first year student. So if you're a student with 30 credits that you earned while you were still in high school, you are considered a first year student for us. Okay. And then if you're coming as a transfer student, you'll have 2 days. Transfer students for us means that you actually enrolled in a different college full-time. You graduated high school, you went to college, and then you transferred to come to Bloomsburg. That's a transfer student to us. So if you're that category, you have 2 days to choose from. And then if I saw somebody like it's my graduation, that's okay, pick a different day. If you get into a really, really major jam, on July 22nd, we are holding a virtual orientation. It's a shortened version. It's not as impactful. I'm not gonna lie. We do the best we can, but nobody wants to sit online for 8 hours, right? 3 hours is pushing it for us. So, but we will have a really great virtual experience on July 22nd for anybody who can't attend.
Does joining an LC impact my course intensity? It's a good question.
No, it does not. No. Well, I will tell you, honors college, yes, because, well, that's sort of the point. So honors college students, they tend to take a little more vigorous courses, and then they get extras. They get some extra things because of that. And I don't want to talk about honors college because I'm not as informed in that area. But so honors college, yes, but the other LCs, no. You are enrolled in courses you would be taking anyway, most likely. For the majors, specific LCs, you are taking courses that you have to take for your major. So if you're an education major, we will enroll those students in the same section of an intro to exceptionalities course, which all education students have to take. If you're a business student, we would enroll you in intro to business, in a section of intro to business together. These are courses you have to take. For the LCs that are open to any major, the courses you're taking are courses that count for the Gen Ed program at Bloomsburg University. So every course you're taking is counting towards graduation, and nothing is extra because you're in an LC. If anything, what'll happen is because you're in the LC, your mentors will put together review sessions for the classes that you're taking to prep you for an exam, or sit down and help you with the paper that you're doing for class. So that's the advantage of the LC, is it actually will do work with you outside of class for the classes that you're taking, but the class itself won't be more rigorous.
Great. Okay, so we're going to keep moving through the presentation. I promise we're almost to the open Q&A. These are awesome questions. It'll also give Jen a quick second to get I feel like you're running a marathon here. These are great questions, though. Honestly, this is awesome. And there will be a specific LC's Zoom with Bloom session as well. So that way there's an opportunity for some more deeper conversations about this. But please keep the questions coming. Submitting your health form, Dr. Willoughby.
I don't know a whole lot about the health forms, but I'm happy to give Jen a breather. So all new students required to complete an online health form prior to starting classes. There's a lot of considerations that we're trying to work through as we move folks into residence halls together. We will also work really hard to make sure all of your health considerations are taken care of. So your health and wellness and your priorities are really important to us. So that health form helps us understand what your needs are and how we can best meet those needs.
Yeah, and a lot of this is all things that would be done the summer before you would enroll. But this is an important part of the process, certainly for any student who will be attending classes on campus or will be living on campus. So these are important things to get in to make sure that we can, appropriately accommodate anything that you might need. Submitting final transcripts, right? So this is a quick one here. This is after you graduate, we just need proof that you've officially finished your high school degree or finished the semester at your current college. So you just want to contact either the registrar's office at your current college or the guidance office at your high school to have them send over a final copy of your transcripts, especially if you've taken college courses, because we want to get you credit for the courses that you have completed. And we can't do that if we don't have the transcript. So that's a simple thing, and you'll get more notifications from us regarding that subject. Scheduling your classes. I believe this is also Dr. Willoughby.
Okay, hold on. I'm gonna minimize my Q&A. All right. So one of the other hats that I wear at BU is the Director of Academic Advising. Amazing, right? You'll receive more information concerning the process of scheduling your courses later this spring. And like I said earlier, that's going to happen when you attend orientation. So I'll beat Jen's drum a little bit there. So please come to orientation because lots of important stuff happens, including making your schedule. One thing that you want to make sure that you do so that we can place you in some foundational classes early is to send us any AP exam test scores and final transcripts like Tom was just saying. All that stuff is information that we use to try and figure out what foundational courses that are part of our general education program, which ones are most appropriate to your level. So once you have your class schedule, then you can go head down to our fabulous BU store. You can purchase a lot of swag there, but that's also where you get your textbooks. So all of that can happen ahead of time. Because you'll know pretty much what your schedule is when you leave orientation. It doesn't mean you can't make changes after that. There is lots of time between when you do orientation and when we start classes. And even after we start classes, we have a week-long period called add drop, where if you find yourself in a class and you're going, wait a second, I don't know if this is for me, you can switch out of that and into a different one. So whatever you figure out that you're going to take during orientation is fantastic planning and definitely something that you want to take advantage of, but it doesn't mean that you can't change it later on. We also have academic advisors helping us during orientation. The peer mentors are helping us to kind of help guide you regardless of what major you might be in, or if you're an exploratory student, because this is something that also is near and dear to my heart because those are the students that I advise. All of those folks are going to be on hand to help, figure out what classes you need to take for your specific program or what classes you need to take to satisfy some general education requirements.
Perfect. So it's out pro orientation. Can we count on your
Pro
support?
orientation.
Okay.
Yes.
Pro orientation. So we are winding down here the presentation here. There are a couple events that are coming up that are really, really important, especially the Husky Decision Days. Those are events for students who've been admitted where we kind of take you behind the scenes and help you preview what your life is going to be like as a student at Bloomsburg. But you'll also see that we have some major exploration days, which are also on-campus events where we highlight specific majors. It's a day only for students who are interested in those majors: exercise science, business management, international business, supply chain, environmental science, and geology. So we have some options coming up. You can register for all of those events at bloomu.edu/visit. And then also we have some virtual events coming up here. And again, same story, you can register for these or find more information on bloomu.edu/visit. Jen, I realize that we don't have an event yet for learning community. So again, we're speaking that one into existence. So expect a phone call from me sometime tomorrow so we can set one up. But again, this is, like I said, these are like the standalone Avenger movies where, like you have like the Thor movie and the Iron Man movie where we, just specifically talk about that one subject. We already did the financial aid one. And then this is the high level overview tonight, but there will be more events like this specifically dedicated to students who have applied to Bloomsburg, admitted, or paid a deposit and have a specific interest in one of these subjects. And my guess is a lot of you are going to have interest in these types of things. And then the departmental deep dive is an event on Facebook Live where we'll be actually you'll be meeting with Dr. Willoughby again and some of Dr. Willoughby's students who are currently in the undeclared or exploratory program. And just more information basically about what we can do to help you identify a major and do well academically and get you tracked into a program. So that was very quick, but we have a lot of events coming up that I think would be of help and use to you as a student. and again, please stay in touch. This is a great way for you to find information. We post information on our social media accounts every single day. What's not listed up there, I'm recognizing, is our TikTok account. Actually, our TikTok account's pretty good. As Jen would say, it is bomb.com. But it's all basically run by our students. It's not really information that would come from Sean or I. And more information. So this website down here at the bottom, and I recognize it's a long URL. Sean can put that in the chat, but that is the complete and comprehensive list of everything you need to do. Everything from admitted to, moving in and starting classes and going through welcome weekend. So, we're not expecting you to commit all this to memory. We have that list. We have that roadmap that's already on the website. And Sean, again, if you could put that in the chat, that would be very helpful. And that is the end of the presentation part of the event. So now we can just dive deep into everyone's questions. Let's see here. So the first one is, are freshmen able to live in on-campus apartments? Mr. Turnbull.
It is something that we highly do not encourage. Occasionally it will happen, but it's usually based on a student's need for an accommodation due to a medical issue or something like that. First year students, it's all about that experience that Tom mentioned before about living with your peers that are also first year students, building those friendships, those communities. Once we kind of get some of our students that have been here, sophomores, juniors, seniors, they have their friend groups. In apartments, there's just more doors between you and your neighbors. And so we highly encourage you to live in the residence halls. If you're concerned about it, contact our office. I'll put it in the chat here again, but just buhouse@bloomu.edu. We can chat about your specific concerns. I know, like living with a roommate versus living in a single room, living in a residence hall room versus apartment, all those amenities sound great, but it will really affect your experience. Students love living on campus in our residence halls. We're built for first year students living in our residence halls. That's how our program is set up. So we have our support and everything in that. So Jen got the autocorrect there in the chat. I appreciate that, but it goes to Bughouse.
I was going to say Bug House. I'm not familiar with that.
There it is. Thanks, Jen. We do it all the time. I type Bughouse to so many people all the time. It's our keyboards. They do it for us. Yeah. So if you have a concern, please reach out to us. But we really, really want you as a first year student to live in our residence halls.
Okay, great. When will My Housing allow us to pick dorm and residence hall preferences and such? Good question.
Yeah, you may not like this answer, but I promise it's a good answer. You just don't know it yet. When you're a sophomore, junior, or senior living on campus, you are welcome to pick your exact assignment. In your first year, we pick it for you. And that is so that we can kind of build our community so it's the best experience for you beyond just exactly what building you might want. There is that residential component that's an option for our LCs. There are our athletes that often live in Elwell Hall because it's open during breaks for students that have a need. But all of our housing is air conditioned, so you don't need to worry about that. All of our housing is well maintained. They're great places. And so, we will actually decide that for you. So less choice, but I promise it works out great. But again, reach out to us if you have anything. I'm also going to put my email here in the chat.
Mark is a trustworthy man. You can trust Mr. Turnbow. Raquel, great question here. I applied for the Honors College and completed my interview over a month ago. When should I expect to hear back regarding my decision? Sean, would you mind taking? Actually, Raquel, would you be able to? Raquel, we'll take your name down and we will follow up with you tomorrow. Unless that's an answer that you know off the top of your head.
I don't know off the top of my head. I know they're still reviewing applicants. Raquel, I'm going to put my email in the chat. If you just want to email me directly, I'll go ahead and follow up with the Honors College for you.
Okay. Question from Jocelyn. Can you join a Husky Decision Day virtually if you are unable to be on campus? So Jocelyn, unfortunately, we do not have a virtual version of Husky Decision Days. We do have a lot of virtual programming, and you saw some of those there. And if you're unable to make it to unable to make it to Husky Decision Day, we are also having area receptions. We have one in Philadelphia coming up in April and one in Harrisburg, Hershey area coming up in March. which are kind of like mini Husky decision days that we take on the road to specific areas. So sorry we don't have a virtual option, but we do have other virtual event program coming up, and as well as, we have, on-campus events basically every single day of the week with the exception of Sundays. Will there be another financial aid Zoom meeting? There probably will not be another financial aid Zoom meeting. However, we do have the one recorded from last week. And honestly, I think that's a great tool to use. I know Amanda and her colleague Marla and Sean led a really, really comprehensive and engaging event. But I know that's something that we'll get to the group. Sean, did you already put that one in the chat? Okay.
Yeah, and Tom,
Yes,
I just
I'll
wanted
go at
to
it
throw
again.
out there really quick.
Yeah.
If you have a specific question of, financial aid tells a story, so you don't necessarily want to ask any specific questions in these types of webinars, and you may not see an answer for your specific situation in that Zoom presentation. So please feel free to reach out to the financial aid office. I will put the email address in the chat. Any specific questions, or if you want to request a Zoom appointment, we can set aside specific time to talk to you.
All right, great. Thank you, Amanda. Let's see here. What do I need to do if I need interim housing or 12-month housing? Sounds like a question from Mark.
Yes, well, as it depends on your need for interim housing. So there's a couple different answers to answer this question. In the end, the answer for everyone is you can always contact us and we'll take care of you and figure out exactly what resource you need, whether that is because of your own personal situation, you need that, which could run the gamut from all different types of reasons, to if you're an athlete, it's actually gonna be coordinated through your coach. So there's a lot of different kind of answers, but if you contact us, we'll make sure you get the right spot. But if it's due to an activity, a university sponsored, sport or something like that, your coach will help take care of that and get you that information, and then we'll have you fill out that form and they'll kind of make sure you have that. If it's something more about your exact individual situation, reach out to our office, we'll make sure you get that information. There's a form to fill out, but it's relatively painless and easy. And if you do know you need to live with us year round, we just ask you to let us know that. You can just email us again at that buhouse@bloomU.edu, and we'll make sure we actually flag your application so that we know that we want to make sure that we know that you that you need that 12-month housing. We can support you through that.
And Mark, who would they want to contact if they need the interim housing? Is it
Just the buhouse@bloomU.edu
BU House, okay.
would be the best. You'll end up talking to Michelle Stout or Mary Prout, who are our housing folks. They're wonderful. But if you send that, it goes to all of us in the office. And so if someone were to be out for the day, you'll get a response quicker just by sending to that general email.
Okay, great. Thank you, Mark. Mark, another question for you, man. You're popular here.
All right.
If you stay on campus your first semester and decide it's not for you, can you commute the second semester if you are less than 50 miles away?
So that is a tiny bit of a tricky question, but not too tricky. When you do sign up, you sign up for a 1-year housing agreement with us. So the default answer is you're here with us for a year. But we are not like a typical, I know I use like our housing counter can say it's a lease. It's not as if it's a lease where you sign up and, if I rent a house somewhere, I've rented that house. Here you've rented to stay with us on campus. There's a ton of things that we can do. We have a lot of different, communities, environments, different places to live. If you have that roommate issue, we're going to help you kind of mediate it, and hopefully you learn something through living with someone different than yourself. But also if it's really bad, we're going to help you change your housing assignment and work through those things. So the first thing we're going to do is try to work with you and figure out why is it not for you, and can we make it for you? Again, I'm very biased because this is my career, but I think it's really awesome to live on campus. And so I'm going to figure out, well, what can we do to make your experience awesome before just saying no? But if it is something that it's really your need to be able to move in, you're within that commutable distance, we have allowed folks to go ahead and commute for that second semester.
Yeah, honestly, living on campus is kind of where you grow up. And you have this unique opportunity of 4 years, sometimes less than 4 years if you start college with some college credits already, where you're kind of in this transition stage of you're not quite a kid, but you're not quite an adult living on your own yet. So the best place for you to kind of grow up in a somewhat controlled and safe and comfortable environment is in college, living on campus. And partially because of the fact that you are surrounded by roughly 2,000 other students who are going through that exact same thing at the same time. right? So it's not like you're moving on the campus and you're the only person going through this. You are surrounded, and sometimes you're in an LC as well. Hopefully not sometimes. Hopefully everyone is in an LC, where you not only are going through that life experience at the same time as everybody else, but you already have some identified interests as everybody else, which kind of makes the social fabric part of your college experience that much more enjoyable. So hopefully it never really gets to that point. I'm confident that it won't, but it is a great opportunity to kind of, again, have that opportunity to grow up a little bit. Decision day, if you paid your non-refundable deposit, doesn't that provide your decision to attend Bloom? So yes, it does. So paying your deposit and attending Husky Decision Day are not necessarily the same thing. It's a good question though, Samantha. So you can, let me put out a couple scenarios. So it's possible for you to have paid your admission deposit, but still attend Husky Decision Day. At the same time, you do not have to have paid your deposit in order to attend Husky Decision Day. Does that make sense? I'm hearing myself explaining that, thinking that that's kind of confusing. Okay. And Samantha, if that didn't answer your question, please let me know. I think there's some previous education majors on the group here who might be able to explain it better than I can. Question from Zach: if I've already committed to BU, congratulations, my man. Welcome to the family. Should I still attend a Husky Decision Day? Is it different than a campus tour? Yes and yes. Definitely different than a campus tour. A campus tour is part of the day, but is a very, very small part of the day. There's an academic component where you get to meet with the faculty who'll be teaching your courses. There is an activities fair where you get to hear from people like Jen Hunsinger about LCs and some of the different events. And honestly, probably the most important part is you get to meet other students who've been admitted and have already committed to Bloomsburg. So you get to meet the people who are going to be coming. So you can already kind of start the community building part. Great question, Zach. And again, congratulations on joining. For the living situation, I know there's a 2-year living agreement. Do I have to live on campus or in a residence hall, or can I get an apartment nearby to be an option? Mark, you got that one?
Yeah. So yes, we have our 2-year residency requirement for all incoming students, and there are some exceptions to that. New students that are married or come in with a lot of credits or that are older. Check out our website or contact me and I can give you those stipulations. But for most of you, there is a 2-year residency requirement. So one thing you may not know is we do have 3 apartment complexes on campus that are on upper campus. And so yes, you can live in an apartment. We want you to live in an apartment for your second and beyond years. Often we also have some suites on campus. And so while I'm talking about the first year students, it's really good to live in a traditional residence hall. You can as a sophomore, and a lot of our students do choose to do that. It's a great environment. But if you want something a little more independent, you want to live with a group of friends and have a little bit more independence, we have that option on campus. And again, I'm totally biased here and nothing against our local landlords. There are some wonderful landlords in town, but we will literally take care of you. We have student staff that are available that are peers. We have full-time folks. Myself and 6 of my colleagues, we live on campus. So if something crazy happens, guess what? We show up. Last night, I was in one of our halls at midnight just to make sure a student was okay. They were totally fine, don't worry. But it is, we're built here for your success.
Right.
But if you want that independent living, we absolutely provide that as part of that 2-year residency requirement. That 2-year residency piece, that second year can be very much in an apartment on campus.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. And the nice part about living on campus is it's basically like turnkey, right? So like all you have to do is say, yes, hey, I want to live on campus. And then basically everything is taken care of, right? Like when you move into your residence hall, there's people who help you move in, right? When you turn on the TV, the cable's magically there. You have power, you have heat, you have all these things that like when you move off campus, you're responsible for figuring that out on your own. And also having, trained professionals, this is what they do for full-time jobs. People like Mark and the team that Mark supervises, you're not going to find that experience off campus, right? Where like if you need something, if you live off campus, kind of, for the most part, that's on you. Whereas when you live on campus, you're going to have access to these services that you would not necessarily have if you lived off campus. So question from Samantha. So I did not do a good job of answering your question. I apologize here. Is attending the Husky Decision Day mandatory if I paid the deposit? Yeah, attending the Husky Decision Day certainly is not mandatory. Nope, not at all. Whether you paid a deposit or not, it is not mandatory. And I'm happy to hear you're coming for the major exploration day for environmental science. Yes, I would say that that's a great event to attend. You are not required to come to Husky Decision Days. And by paying the deposit, it's our way of knowing that you will be attending Bloomsburg for the fall. And we look forward to seeing you on campus. And in fact, I just had a meeting about that event today with Dr. Shepard, who's the department chair. He's a great guy, so he'll be looking forward to meeting you and your family. Thank you, Samantha. If you already answered this, sorry, Raquel, no apology needed at all. Our class is mainly in person, online, or hybrid. Oh, I see Dr. Wilby's typing an answer.
But I'm happy to answer that for everybody. So I'll
Okay.
send this.
Okay.
So most of our classes are in person right now, made possible by lots of Huskies participating and, being really careful and kind about their peers and masking up in the classroom. So we're mostly in person. There are some online courses available. So don't think that you will never take an online course at Bloomsburg. That's definitely a possibility. As far as hybrid classes are concerned, that's usually at the discretion of the instructor. So some instructors can choose to deliver their courses in a hybrid format, but a lot of times those decisions are made at the department or instructor level. So all three kind of, yes, but most of our classes are in person right now.
All right, great, thank you. Do you allow pets on campus?
Fish in a 15-gallon
Fish.
tank or smaller.
Fish, yes.
Sometimes people do have questions about other animals. They are not pets, but if you do have a need for an assistance animal, you can work through our University Disability Services, and we do have a process to allow you to have a assistance animal on campus to meet a specific need that would be specific to you. So your first process would be to reach out to University Disability Services, as well as there's a form on our website that is part of that kind of welcome packet that you can let us know if you have that need.
Great, thank you. Is it possible for a freshman to live in Soltz Hall?
Possible, yes, but very similar to, as I said, with the apartments, it is not necessarily encouraged. We, again, want our first-year students to live in those traditional residence halls so that community, the suites are very similar to the apartments in that same way, as that they're built for our upperclassmen independent living. Occasionally, we will house some first-year students in Soltz, a little bit more than even the apartments, because it is on lower campus and a little bit closer to everything. But usually that is to meet a accommodation that student has a need for, or any associated roommate that they might have wanted to live with as well. So occasionally, but it's not our standard practice at all.
Okay, great. And Samantha, thank you. Yes, so Samantha is a BU alum. So we always love the second, third generation, Husky family. So that's awesome. Samantha, as far as I'm concerned, you've earned the right to take a walk down memory lane when you come back to campus and show your son or daughter, show your student all the things and how they were back in your day. You've earned the right to do that. So we hope you indulge the rest of your family with that. That's one of the more fun and exciting moments of coming back to your alma mater. So that's awesome. That's awesome. It looks like we've made it through all the Q&A. Do we have any other questions? Let's see here. Oh, no, thank you, Ben. Appreciate it.
I see one in the chat that's about first-year students being able to bring cars on campus.
Oh, okay.
I can just hit that real quick.
Yeah, fire it off, man.
Yes, you can, which is pretty awesome. There's a lot of campuses that don't have space for that. And so it's nice that Bloomsburg has that. Where you're going to park as a first-year student is a pretty decent ride. It's on our upper campus in our blue lot. So there's shuttle service from lower campus there, but it's not the most convenient. You're not going to be parking right outside where you live. And I'm speaking about residential students right now. Obviously, a commuter, you can park in our commuter lots if you're a first-year commuter student. But yes, you can. It's just you would park in our blue lot there as a first-year student.
So, and I realized I was kind of neglecting the people who were asking questions in the chat, so I apologize. I know we had a question from my friend Quincy. Quincy, how you doing, buddy? He had a question about what happens if orientation conflicts with his high school graduation. That's a good question. I know we get that one quite a bit. So, Dr. Willoughby or Jen, you have an answer for that one?
Yeah, you can just choose a different day. If none of this works, said we have a virtual option on July 2nd. And if there's a day that does work for you and it's identified for a different student population, contact us directly. So my email's in here, Dr. Willoughby's email is in here. Just tell us to say, hey, I'm a transfer student, but I can't come on a transfer day. I really want to come. I need to come on one of the other days. It's fine. You come and we will tell you what to attend and what you may want to skip over because it wouldn't work for you specifically. And we'll make sure you get the information you need anyway, regardless. So we will work with you as best as we can. But if none of the 7 days work for you, then again, we have the virtual option.
Great, thank you. Let's see here. Who should I contact to find information about my BloomU email? Sean, would that be us? I'm trying to think.
So it depends on what the question is. So if you haven't paid your admissions deposit, you're not going to have access to your BU email account just yet. Once you pay your deposit, you then get a confirmation email from our office, as well as a letter giving you access, letting you know where to find that email and how to log in. I hope that answered the question.
Yes, thank you, Sean. Good question from Abigail here. Will all the Zoom of Bloom meetings be posted on YouTube, especially if I cannot make it to some of the meetings? They certainly will be, yes. And I'm going to start to label them with 2022 because this is a series we've done the past couple of years. So again, you'll see like 2 financial aid ones and you'll see 2 Jumpstart ones. I'll label the ones from this year with little 2022 in parentheses. Yeah, great question. Thank you, Abigail. Sorry if I missed this, but what is the date for orientation? No apology needed, Alyssa. Jen, what were the dates for orientation again?
They are June 21st through 23rd for first years.
Okay.
June 27th and 28th for first years. And for transfer students, they are June 24th and June 29th.
You know, honestly, they are fun
again,
days.
Yeah, they are. Those are the in-person ones. And then again, the virtual one would be July 22nd. But again, we encourage everybody to come in person, especially our first year students because of your schedules.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, even in admissions, like we always look forward to orientation. There's just a lot of excitement on campus each day. And it's a fun day for everybody, for the whole community. When do you receive that letter for admissions if deposit was paid several months ago? The letter for admission if the deposit was paid several months ago. Niley, would you please, if you wouldn't mind just clarifying what letter would you be referring to? Normally there's some type of email confirmation after you pay deposit, but I just want to make sure I appropriately answer the question there. Let's see. Anybody else?
There was a question in the chat, Tom, about the placement testing.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So I can try to answer that, and I'm gonna pop the testing center website into the chat. You can take placement tests for a variety of different things, including your writing, your math, and foreign language. And I always emphasize the foreign language one because we do have a foreign language requirement as part of general education. If you've taken a couple years of a language in high school, you want to take the foreign language placement exam because you might be able to test out of some of those classes. It saves you time, it saves you money. So it's definitely a great idea. The ALEX math placement testing is a fantastic idea, especially if you are doing a major in the sciences. They really want you to do that early. So you can find all of that stuff on the testing center website that I put there in the chat. But yes, there are placement tests for a variety of different things. You'll find a big list on that site, and you should do that sooner rather than later, because if you've got placement testing information in place at orientation, it'll give us a better idea of what kind of classes to put you in during that time.
Great, thank you. And Nayali, I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. No apologies needed. Yeah, I tend to speak in a stream of consciousness sometimes, so I oftentimes forget what I have said as well. So if it comes back to you, let me know. But generally what happens is when you pay your deposit, you'll get an email confirmation saying, hey, basically this is, for your own records, congratulations on joining, the Husky family. And you'll start to hear more information from us. So I hope that answers the question. If not, please feel free to follow up with any of us. We're definitely happy to help. Really good question from Skylar here. Where would you find the Bloombound course to complete?
I'm working on it now. I'm gonna get the link and I'm gonna put it in the chat. But it's, go to our website and you go to, I think it's Student Life on the side. And the first thing listed is first year experience. And you click on that and you'll see new student orientation, get more information. You go to that and it's all there. But I'm going to put the link right here in the chat for you to make it so much easier.
Excellent. All right, thank you, Jen. And Rebecca, I see you're responding to the question about the minor.
Yeah, it's actually a great question that Jalen's
Mhm.
asking here about minors. So you can declare a minor pretty much anytime. Students often take some courses in a discipline before they declare that minor because they, are kind of exploring things and want to figure out if that's something for them. So you do not have to choose a minor ahead of starting your first semester. Students choose minors pretty much anytime. Sometimes after they've taken all of the classes. That's what I did.
Yes, good question. And Jalen, you've had a lot of good questions tonight. Really appreciate that. You've had really, really good questions here. Question from Natalie here. How do I schedule the foreign language placement test? That's a good one too.
There's information on how to schedule the test on the testing center website. You would select what test you want to take because we have placement testings for a bunch of different languages. I think like 7 different languages. So there are different days and times and you can schedule them according to the testing center schedule.
Okay, great. Anybody else? Again, these are awesome questions. Everyone here has clearly done their due diligence here, which should make this process honestly a lot easier for you, which is great. But anything else here? This has been kind of a marathon session, but these are always events that we always look forward to as a team, where we get to meet with everybody and kind of see what's front and center for you and kind of what you're excited for, what you might have more questions about. Oh yeah, thank you, Chelsea. We appreciate your time. There's no thanks required for us. We appreciate you all joining us tonight. And again, there will be more of these. They will be topical, topic specific, and we will be adding LCs to the menu of options. But these are good events. This is a big decision for you and for your, for your family, for your supporters. So it's important that you've got all the information you need to be able to make a decision. Thank you, Samantha. And Samantha, once a Husky, always a Husky. So we always love the second and third generation families coming back. Anybody else? Any final questions here? Let's see. Where do people who might have an emotional support animal typically dorm at? My roommate might have one to bring. Yes, good question.
There is not a specific location that we put. We, wherever a student is housed at the time, we don't really take that into consideration outside of if we know we have another student has accommodation based on allergies or those types of things. So
Okay.
it can affect a housing location, but it doesn't until it needs to, basically based on that. So.
Thanks. Are placement tests mandatory for English and math, or are you placed in classes based on your high school GPA and averages? That's a good
So
question.
they're not technically mandatory, but it's always a good idea. And like I said, the math especially if you are in a science oriented or math oriented major, then it's very, very, very strongly recommended. Those folks would definitely like you to take that placement exam so that they can determine what courses are best for you in your first semester. So sometimes, if we only use a high school GPA and you have a really good high school GPA, you might find yourself in a math course that you're going to struggle in. I was one of those people. So, I had a pretty good high school GPA and not a math person. So taking the math placement test can really help you figure out what the best courses are that you're going to be successful in. And definitely in those science majors, you want to take that math one.
Yes, great question. Thank you, Krista. Anybody else? And sorry if you can hear my kids in the back. My wife is telling them to talk quietly. So what they do is like they whisper, but it's still at full volume. So it ends up being just as loud. Like I don't think they fully understand the concept of quiet talk. We have one volume in this house and it's, at 11. Anything else, guys? Any final questions before we sign off for the night? And again, obviously, this is not the last time you're going to hear from us. So if you think of a question 10 minutes after this ends, call us, email us, stop in to see us. We're happy to help. We work for you. So, okay. So I will take that virtual silence as you guys are all questioned out. We clocked in at 90 minutes. Jen almost passed out there. We almost had a man down. But really appreciate everybody joining us tonight. We sincerely hope to see everyone at Husky Decision Days or at a major exploration day or on a campus tour, in another Zoom with Bloom session. A lot of opportunities coming up. I'm pretty sure we want you to come to orientation. If I'm not mistaken, I believe orientation is somewhat important. Everyone needs to come. Yes, come to orientation.
Orientation.
So yeah, we look forward to seeing everybody at orientation and at welcome week, and there's a lot of fun things coming up. This is an exciting time of your life. So help us to help you do some of these logistical things that allows you to concentrate on the fun stuff. So please feel free to reach out to us. I know all of our contact information has been added in there, but you can find all of it on our website too. We look forward to hearing from everybody in the future, and have a wonderful night. And if you're getting hammered with snow, I know we're supposed to get some snow, be safe, please. But if you have a snow day, it's a good time to check out some of the other virtual options that we had, some of the recordings that we have out there too. All right, good night, everybody.
Good night, all.
Bye.
Hey, everyone.
Mark, are you in the office?
Yeah, I just wasn't gonna deal with all the wildness at home. I was like, just coming down the hill.
Yeah, I hear you, Sean. I didn't hear Daisy at all.
You could hear the pitter patter behind the door running around the house.
Yeah.
And when I say pitter patter, that's 80 pounds of German Shepherd.
Yeah, I was going to say,
Pitter patter.
Daisy's not a small dog.
If I could have left the door open, she'd probably be in the videos.
In the lap, yeah, or she'd
Yeah.
be sitting right there on your lap, yeah.
Which that reminds me, I got to get down to the BU store and get her some BU attire. I've
Yep.
seen some really unique dog stuff down there.
Yeah, they've got some good stuff there. Yeah, they do. Yeah, Daisy's a Husky at heart.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Corey, Natalie, do you have any final questions? Is there anything we can help you with? Okay. Well, all right. So guys, I'm going to go ahead and sign off. Thank you. Really appreciate it. And
Thank you all.
sure we'll be seeing
Have a
you
good
guys
one.
soon. Good
Yeah.
night.
See you, Mark. See you in the morning, Tom.